Hey everybody, Amy Zeal here. So this is the post firewalking video. I do have another video that's pre-firewalking video. This is what I learned, how I've changed, and what happened, what transpired. So I flew out to Nashville, Tennessee, and it was an hour outside of Nashville on this beautiful mountain. And the first thing we basically learned was, when you're going through a transformative experience of any kind, the actual place that holds the space for the transformation is just as important and sacred as the transformation itself. So you really need to think about where you are when you're trying to create, when you're trying to cultivate, when you're trying to build. Is the environment around you, is it built and structured and possibly energetically aligned to be the container for what it is you're trying to cultivate and create? So the actual mountain itself had a specific type of frequency, type of energy that Bucky specifically picked out for this type of transformational work. We did a team building exercise. I don't really want to get too much into what it was, because if you actually do the experience, I want you to be enlightened at the time. But what I will say, what I learned for myself is, it takes twice the amount of people that you think to get you solid. Whether it's building your business, whether it's building a family, whether it's building relationships, whatever it is you're creating and you're building, you need the male energy, you need the female energy, you need more people than you think to hold it up. And you're also going to need tools outside of just the people that you're going to have to anchor into the situation. You need to do everything you can to create that steadiness, that sturdiness, that foundation that is so important. Because if the foundation is weak and it's not built properly, then everything else will crumble. And that comes to your business, that comes to your relationships. And I'm going to jump around a little bit. So the actual firewalking experience, it teaches you how to access more energy and harness more energy and hold on to more energy, and how you cultivate energy. And through the whole process, there was a pile of wood on one side of the property, and then we had to create 6 fires, and you had to build them a certain way, and the structure had to be a certain way, with the logs had to be shaped a certain way. And if the structure and the integrity of the walls were not a certain way, the structure would cave in on itself, and you weren't going to have the fire built in the way that it needed to be built for the ashes to burn, how they had to burn for us to be able to walk on them. It was a whole process. And we really talked about intention, living intentionally, thinking intentionally. And through the whole process of creating the fire, building the fire, tending the fire, preparing for the fire mentally, emotionally, physically, and then walking on the fire, what was the intention behind what it is we were trying to do? And I ask you, and I was asking myself, when I'm creating something, when I'm building something, when I'm nurturing something, am I intentional with what it is that I'm doing, or am I just doing it? Am I just going through the motions? And I think too many people don't do enough with intention behind what it is they're doing. They just do without thought, without purpose, without presence. And that's the difference between just existing and then actually really living. So we practiced the process of intention, behind everything it was. We did some offerings into the fire. We did some exercises. We did we did another type of activity that was to break through the mental blocks that hold you back from what you think is scary, and it's not. You just have to step through, but that first step has to be intentional. It has to be forceful, and it has to be focused. It's all about intention, force, and not force. That's the wrong word. It was about stretching myself. We built 6 fires, and then we created 6 tracks where there were 12 to 15 feet, and then you had to. It wasn't just walking on it once. At other events, I've just done it once. It was, how many times can you do the hard thing over and over and over again? Because that's what it takes when you're in it to win it. You're going to have to do the hard thing repetitively, again and again and again and again, until you get the result that you want. And then you have to do another thing again and again because you're stretching yourself. And then the hard thing was that now easy. And now you're on to the next level or the next thing. So I did the 12, 15 footer like 16 times. Then we connected all the tracks together to make a 100 footer. And then you did the 100 footer. It was so funny because, you know, I was like, okay, I'm going to push myself. Like we made a promise to push ourselves. And I'm like, film me. So the girl filmed me. I'm like, I want this on, you know. So she filmed me the first time. And like, because of the lighting, you couldn't see it. You couldn't see it at all. Like you had to have the camera on. But if the camera was on, you couldn't see how hot the coals were. So it's like, do I want them to see me walking on the coals or do I want them to see the coals? So I ended up doing it 3 times. And I just kind of laughed to myself. And I'm like, why am I really doing this? You know, I mean, the first time I did it and the second time I'm like, well, this is for social media. I'm like, you're not going to do an event like this and not get footage, you know? So I did that. And then I did it the third time because we were pushing ourselves. Okay, can you do it again? Because I just got into this mode, like again. And, you know, I did the 100 footer 3 times. No singes, no burns, nothing. It was about harnessing the energy. And, you know, we really talked about living there. If you can live at that type of level, like, you know, athletes call it peak performance state. When you're in competition state, if you've ever competed or you're ever in the zone or you ever run a race or a marathon or you play a sport, that heightened level of intensity energetically, I'm not going to say you're going to walk around like this all the time. Like, no, I'm not saying that. But what I'm saying is, imagine if you lived there and you did everything in your life there. Most people live at about a 6 or a 7. Imagine if you were at a 10. And, you know, I could tell you about it. I could make a diagram. I can write it. You could read it. You're never going to fully understand what I mean until you experience something like it. So it's something that I would highly, highly, highly encourage anybody to do. If you want information on it, I'll give it to you. I know I'm changed. You know, there were things that I discovered about myself that when we did this meditation where we did it for an hour and we went really, really deep. And I honestly don't meditate as much as I should. And when you're in the moment, I didn't know it was an hour. We did it a whole hour. And things came up to the surface for me. And I'm going to talk about this right now because, you know, I believe that there's other people out there going through what I'm going through. And it's not easy. You know, sometimes you have to make really difficult decisions for yourself in order to get on the other side of the uncomfortability, because what happens is people go up to the point of uncomfortability and they don't want to feel the uncomfortability, so they back down. And what you want is over here. So you have to go through the uncomfortability to get to the other side of what it is you want. And I had there was also a board breaking part of it where, you know, I'd said in the beginning I'd broken boards before, and honestly a small little piece of plywood, and it's not. But what we had to do was we had to just gently lay our hand on the board. You couldn't hit it. You had to just lay it with the intention of what it is you were letting go. And, you know, I'm in a place in my life where I'm changing. I've been working really, really, really hard on myself for a while to really cultivate and grow and transform and turn into the person that I'm supposed to be here on this earth. And it's like a snake shedding its skin. Like the old doesn't work anymore. I've outgrown it. And now I'm in this new presence, new way of being, new body, new mindset. I've stretched, I've learned, I've grown. And when you begin to understand and see patterns that maybe served you up until a certain point in your life, they got you to where you are. Those patterns, they served its purpose. But that pattern is not going to get you to your next phase. You need a new pattern. And sometimes it's really hard for people to let go of the old pattern. First, you have to recognize, oh, that pattern doesn't work. That pattern's not working anymore. And some people just get stuck in the pattern. They don't even know there's a pattern. You know, it's the cultivating and growing into the awareness, oh, that's not serving me anymore. I need to do this. And I had to release and let go of some really, really hard things. And one was a relationship I was in for 8.5 years. And we grew apart. And it's not easy when it's nothing really big other than you're just not in alignment anymore. You know, I realized I wanted different things. And I realized, you know, I think I was listening to Dan Martell, and he's like, there's 4 things you need to really get clear with before entering into a relationship. You know, how you handle money, your values, your core values, like, are you guys on the same page? How you're going to parent kids, and, you know, especially when you're tired, you know, and I think there was one more. I think it was career, you know, family life, career, you know, it's values and it's money. To me, those are the big ones, you know, that really mess people up. And if you have different styles of spending or different styles of saving or different styles of paying bills, that could be a really big problem. And people don't want to they don't want to get down to the brass tacks of, okay, let's talk about this before we even move the ball down the field, because that's going to come up, and that's a really, really big issue. You know, religion, I think it was religion. You know, politics is a big one too. So, and also I understand that how I was, the person I was that attracted that relationship, there were ways that I was that I am no longer that way anymore. But there were possible patterns that I was exhibiting that I do not want to take into my next relationship. I don't, you know, so that's on me to look at myself and grow. So, but that was a big step for me. And, you know, that's not the only thing I need to let go of. There's other things that need to be let go, but that was the big one. So moving forward, you know, now is a awakening and a healing, continue to keep growing. You know, I think I'm going to be doing another retreat actually in Hawaii next month. I'm going to be hiking on this 35-foot trail with Bucky. You know, it's it's just to bring up and bring out a whole another transformative version of yourself. I'm going to keep sharing and keep talking if you have any questions about any of this, but I highly encourage, if you're looking to transform and if you're looking to change and if you're looking to look at a really deep experience of, if you're ready, you got to be ready. You have to want it. You have to want more, want bigger, want better, want deeper. Then this is the thing to do.